Welcome to the stunning shores here at White Rocks Beach in Portrush. Join us as we pay a visit to the host of the 2019 Open Championship and a conversation with Wilma Erskine, the longtime secretary of the club on top of these cliffs. Wilma was kind enough to join us during the PGA Merchandise Show in Orlando, which may explain some of the background noise during the interview, but we hope you enjoy the listen. Well, Wilma, thank you for taking the opportunity to join us today, and obviously a busy time, no doubt, this year.
It has been pretty busy the last 4 years since the announcement of the Open in 2014, with all the course changes and just the preparations because it's a new venue. It's been sort of a job and a half.
Tell me how did that journey begin? You know, we're 7 decades almost removed from the last time.
I think really it started about 10, 12 years ago when we had the last Senior British Open in 2004. There was no events on the horizon, and I think in order to keep yourself in the world rankings, you need to have events. So there was nothing coming through, and we sort of, there's a small group of us that sort of got together, and we thought, would it be nice if we could try and maybe make a relationship with the European Tour and the various stakeholders, and maybe see if we could get the Irish Open, because it hadn't been there for something like 60 odd years either. So we, made inquiries. We needed funding, so we got the government on board, and we had a minister there who was the first minister, Arlene Foster, and she was able to get the concept of golf and the economic benefit of golf, and she was very positive about this. So made contact with the European Tour, etc., and we had sort of tried to look for 2013. However, the Irish were having the gathering, so that was out of the equation. 2014, we were having the Amateur Championship, and we thought by 2015, Rory might have a sore toe. So we opted and we went, well, we could do it in 2012, this was only a few months beforehand.
Right.
And lo and behold, it all worked out. So with the success, that was the biggest success that the European Tour have ever had in any of their events, because the numbers they hadn't actually stopped taking people a week before. So we had like 32,000 was the biggest number in any one day. And obviously the infrastructure was maybe lacking a little bit. So with that and paying pass, it was, we always had a very good relationship with the Open, or the R&A, and we sort of made inquiries about how could we work together, what do we need to do. So eventually Peter Dawson came over, and the architect, who was Martin Ebert, and we couldn't see how it was going to work because of our 1 and 18 were too close together, and they have a tented village and their stands. And then there was a eureka moment when Peter Dawson said, well, this is what I would like to do, but you might not like it. It involves 2 new holes. And hey presto, here we are 4 years later. We're going to have the Open.
Well, long overdue. We're looking forward to it, no doubt. You touched on the changes to the course, the ones that are visible that we're going to see, the 2 new holes. I was there through the summer. They appear as if they've been there from day one.
Sort of like seamless.
Talk a little about the preparations that you don't see, the things that the camera won't necessarily catch that are on behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, for example, the RNA see this as sort of a template, and it's fresh, so they're putting in a lot of services like water, sewage, all underground. Fibre optic, there's £1 million worth of fibre optic so that the media have the most latest up to date. So a lot of that stuff has all been ongoing. Also, the government have got involved with the town, and there was a grant of £15 million for the town to improve so a new streetscape. There's a new train station. They're doing up derelict buildings, and they're just improving the whole infrastructure of the town, all in preparation for the Open Championship, because the economic benefit that will come out of that for the week of is, they estimate around 80 to 100 million. That's a lot of money. So the government have actually invested very well, because what they're going to get out of it far exceeds what they're putting in.
Well, and it's obvious to any visitor to Portrush. it's a sea of construction cranes and you know, all the signs around town of this development or that development, and it's all going to get done in April or May.
We had to get everything. I mean, if we hadn't had our lead in of 4 years, I don't know where we would be. I mean, there's a road system around Royal Portrush now, which again is something that, you know, it's to get the infrastructure in. I mean, the RNA quote something like 2,000 plus trucks come with, you know, stands, tented villages, etc. It's a lot of traffic coming on your golf course. So again, they prepared it in such a way that there's a legacy there that for the second Open and the third Open, it's all there. So they've invested heavily to make sure the structure for the first is going to be impeccable. And, you know, obviously we were very lucky. We were able to sign an agreement for 3 Opens, subject to both parties being happy.
Sure.
So that's a pretty cool thing to have.
Absolutely. You talked a little about legacy. Let's talk a little about yours. How many years at the helm? I've
been there 34 years past, and I've been in golf nearly 40. So, you know, with the Open, it's sort of my baby, and I'm not going to do much bigger and better than that. And I think it's time. I've been there long. I've been on a journey with the club from where we hadn't had a visitor, let alone an American visitor, to now we're in the top 10 in the world. You know, we have a booming visitor, you know, market, and where, you know, I feel I've taken it as far as I can. And I think there's a time and place when you have to say, you know, call quits, and I'm not going to disappear. I will still hopefully maybe be partly involved with the golf industry, but I think it's time for someone new with new ideas, and you know, I think I'm handing over a really nice product to someone, and I just want to have a little bit more time to myself.
Some well-deserved time. You touched on visitors. What can the visitor to Royal Portrush, first timer, come into your way? What can they expect?
What I say, every visitor comes. I mean, most of our market is US, 75%, and what we say is we want them to have an experience. So from the minute they arrive in the car park, where they're met by the meter and greeter, you know, and they show them the shop, they show them the locker room. We want to make sure that person is thought of as a member, so we don't segregate them and say you're there. We incorporate them with our members. We want them to use our facilities. When they halfway round, we've got our great halfway house, so they can go and have a drink and something to eat, you know, and they love that. And we just want them to make sure that when they come to Portrush, it is a day's experience. And it's very important because, you know, there's such a competition out there in the world of golf. And the fact that they come, and I mean, you know, the course is just natural terrain. So they're getting real links. And every hole is different and memorable because we've so many undulations, and we've got great sea views. You can see the Causeway, you can see Dundas Castle, you can see Scotland, you can see Donegal. So to me, they're busy watching. Not only are they playing golf, but they're seeing fantastic views. And we want them just to say, wow, that's all we want. You know, whenever they've had the experience, wow.
Well, it is most definitely a wow experience. If you had to pick 2 wow experiences along the way on the Dundas side.
Well, I think the new 7th is pretty spectacular. You know, everybody who plays it for the first time, it's sort of in a cavern. You know, you've got the big sand dune there, and if the wind is in the wrong direction, that's a mighty hole. That's gonna, and we've replicated the big bunker that was on 17. We call it Wee Nelly now. There's Big Nelly and Wee Nelly. Yep. So, you know, we've tried to replicate some of our history as well. And I think, well, everybody loves Calamity. You know, how can you say you're standing there, the tee's way back now, and you see on the day of the Open, no pressure, you're coming home, and if you don't hit that green in the right spot, it could be Calamity.
Weather and Mother Nature playing a hand as well.
What's special about the Open Championship? You know, what do we want? We want weather, ideally, reasonable, but we need a little bit of wind, because wind is going to confuse them, because it'll not be the same wind day and day. You know, it'll change, and I think with a lot of the American golfers, they're used to very little wind, so it's going to be a different type of golf. They're going to have to hit the ball low and whatever. So, you know, as I said, the true champion will emerge.
Well, we do a lot of these interviews every PGA show, and the question that I'm capping every one of them with this year is who do you think takes home the Claret Jug from Portrush? And I have to ask you the same question.
We have got to say Rory. I mean, I think Rory has a lot of pressure on him. It's his home, it's one of his home courses. He knows it well. I think there's going to be pressure on him to really play well because he's got to, our man. But, we just don't know. A lot of the Americans have never played Royal Portrush. The big ones, Tiger's never been, Dustin, Jordan Spieth. So these guys are going to be under a bit of pressure. They better come early and practice because it's not your normal golf course. And they can be eaten up and spat out very easily. It can be very humbling, but I'm afraid we're going to have to go with Rory.
Well, you'll be happy to know he is the overwhelming pick so far of these interviews. So we're looking forward to a memorable week and long overdue, and two more coming behind it. So,
absolutely.
Wilma, best of luck.
Not at all.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Cheers. And a special thanks once again to Wilma Erskine for joining us today, and we wish all of our friends at Royal Portrush the best of luck in the weeks to come. For more on the preparations and festivities surrounding this year's Open, we'd suggest giving the club a follow on social media. They are at Royal Portrush on Twitter and at Royal Portrush Golf Club on Instagram. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you as always for tuning in. We'll have another one here for you soon, but in the meantime, we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.